Okay, so video number 2, going back to the cop and the 17-year-old girl with the DNA and the DNA being on the police officer's pants. You know, it could have came out of the sweat glands from her legs, from him having her against the car, you know, handcuffing her, waiting on a female police officer to come in and give her a pat down. I've seen that a million times. Even going to prison, I have seen female guards handcuff a male inmate waiting on a male guard to come and pat him down. I mean, it is a common practice. But just to show you how corrupt the judicial system is, they took one of their own police officers with very, very little evidence and a lot of circumstantial evidence and a lot of eyewitness accounts, I would say, from the supposed victims whose stories kept changing, and they convicted the man.
He was guilty from the time that they even from it hit the time that it hit the news. Why? Because all the women were black. He was a white colored man, and
During a Black Lives Matter movement.
right. So he was guilty from day one. He was guilty from the time that they didn't search his house, from the time that they didn't do the investigation right. He been guilty. They thought in their mind he was guilty, so he was guilty. And that's the simple fact of the matter. And
I mean, look at it like this. You have the Black Lives Matter going on. You have Ferguson. You have shootings in California, in Texas, in Baltimore. You have, I mean, all these police shootings all over the United States, and all these cops being thrown in prison over these shootings. And you know what's funny is that it's always a black man or a black raced colored person who is a citizen, and it's a white cop. But where are all the videos of all the white people who get harassed on a daily basis from black cops or from black people? Period. You don't see that. You don't. And I'm here to tell you, growing up as a minority, it happened to me every day. Every single day. And nobody ever heard about it until now.
And the cops doing the investigation, they was going up to these victims, and they were saying, "I heard that you, I have information saying that you got raped by what was that police officer's name? I don't even remember his name. But that's how they did the investigation. The police went up to these women and they said, "Hey, I heard that you got raped by this guy." And then they, of course, yeah, they're gonna be like, "Yeah." Half their stories didn't even match up. They kept changing. And you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't ever been treated right by maybe a few cops my whole life. I've always been treated wrong by the police, and it's rare for me to sit here and take up for a police officer. It really is. It's hard for me to do because I've been treated wrong by them my whole life. But the way I believe, right is right and wrong is wrong, and that whole case was wrong. Wrong. Not good.
Now, this goes to show you that nobody is invincible to the judicial system. And it also goes to show you that the only difference between my convicted felon ass and that police officer is one single decision.
Nothing now.
That's it. Now, yeah, exactly. Now there's nothing different between me and him. Nothing. And he was on the other side of the law.
The only difference is between me and most people. Only difference between me and most people is that, yeah, I got caught. They just didn't get caught. Everybody in this world has done something wrong in their life. And that decision could have screwed up their whole life. Could have screwed it up. I was 18 years old and one decision messed up my whole life. 2 weeks after I turned 18. They didn't show no pity, sympathy, or nothing on me. They didn't do no, oh, we'll give him this little bit of time, and if he does good, then we'll make it go away. No. Felony, DOC number, here you go. Get rid of this guy. He's done. And that's the way they look at it. You're in the system, you're going to stay in the system. There's no way out.
It's a black hole. It's a revolving door. I'm here to tell you, after 2 going on 3 years of not being incarcerated and living out here in this world, man, I see how cruel people really are. And you know what's funny? Is while I was incarcerated, I didn't run into half as many cruel, heartless, mindless people as I have since I have been out here in the real world, as we call it. And that's kind of crazy considering felons are supposed to be the scum of the earth.
I met some of the best people I've ever met in my whole life in prison. I mean, I met people that don't have nothing, take shower shoes off their feet and give them to people. Take their state soap because they don't have nobody helping them and give it to you so you can bathe when you first get there. Take their last soup and give it to you. I see people walking around on the streets and these homeless men and women ask for something to eat, ask for some work, something, and they'll look at them like they're beneath them. You know what? You ain't no better than nobody else. And everybody has low times in their life. You just got to remember, would you want somebody to help you out when you was in your low? Because I would want somebody to help me out. So that's why I help everybody out that I can along the way. If I can't, I can't. But if I can, I'll bend over backwards to help somebody. If they bite me, then I won't help them again. But I guarantee you, I'll try. And that's what it's about.
It's coming from convicted felon, from people who have come from poverty, have come from nothing. And, you know, I've found that the rich people who help the homeless, they don't do it out of the kindness of their heart. I found that it is a business strategy for them.
They do it for...
They make money at the end of the year on a tax break because they donated a certain amount of money, or they donated a certain amount of goods, or they donated a certain amount of their time.
It's this right here. It's for their image. Oh, I'm going to go help these homeless people down here at this homeless shelter because I'm uppity up in. I can go around and I can show off these pictures and brag about what I did to help. It's an image thing. It boosts you even more. Oh yeah, I helped. I gave this much to the city rescue mission. Oh wait, let me write that off of my taxes. Oh, it's a benefit. Everything, it kills me. People in this world, everything that they do it to benefit them. In the Bible, it says, when somebody comes to you and asks you for something, it says you're supposed to give wholeheartedly, give without want anything in return. You're supposed to give to your enemy. When your enemy asks to be fed, you're supposed to give him food. And you're not supposed to want anything back. You're supposed to do it out of the kindness, the goodness of your heart.
If you have a heart.
But that's what I see in society. I see more good people in prison than I do out here in society. In real life. In the real world, quote unquote.
I've seen more good mothers and loving fathers incarcerated over a domestic dispute between them and their spouse at the time. One side claimed something happened that didn't really happen. And let me tell you how easy it is to get caught up in a ring like that. Say I get into a fight with my significant other. We get into a verbal altercation. And she don't like the outcome of it. So she calls the cops, screams, yells, tells the cops, hey, he's hitting on me. But between the time she hangs up that phone and the time the cop shows up, all she has to do is put a red mark on her face. And it is so easy to put it... See that? It's blushing right there. Compared to the other side. It's that easy to put a red mark on your face. And that's all a woman has to have a man hauled off to jail. Is a red mark. That's it. And I've seen so many men incarcerated over stupid shit like that. And they'll never get to see their kids again. Because their children were at the home when it supposedly happened. So now, the lady goes down and gets a protective order put against the man because now she's scared that he really will do something now since she done took part of his life from him, took part of her kid's life from him, and has reduced him down to nothing all over a simple altercation, and she never says anything about it because then she will go to jail. She's more scared to go to jail than she is in having him in jail and living a life without him. You know what happens to those kids? They become a statistic. Just like I became a statistic.
You know what it says? It says this in statistics. If one of your parents go to prison, your kid has an 80% chance of going to prison. One parent in prison. Think about that.
And with a DUI law that says you drink half a beer and you are over the legal limit to drive, and everybody in this world who drinks knows that a half a beer is like drinking a cup of water. I mean, it's not going to impair your driving. It's not going to impair anything like that. I mean, if you have an accident on the way home, that's exactly what it was, a fucking accident. It wasn't because you were so fucked up that you couldn't fucking drive over half a fucking beer.
But what's crazy about this situation too is because it goes back to money and situations. Because my father was killed by his wife, who was a drunk driver who had 3 DUIs, and got 5 years deferred sentence because she took his life insurance money and bought a lawyer, and the lawyer was well known and good. He was a good DUI lawyer. So it's about money. It's about who you are in society. Yeah. Me, I would have got shipped up creek. I didn't have no life insurance money to buy a lawyer. I didn't have nothing. I had a mom that was a bartender, a dad that was an alcoholic, and went to prison my whole life and got out of prison and started straightening up, but he didn't even really have a chance. He was out of prison 4 years and he's dead.
I ran into a guy, he ain't even from here, he's from Alabama, and this man went out, had a few drinks with some friends, went back to his place, continued the party. While they were there, one of his friends, who was a female, got into an altercation with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend started putting hands on her, started beating on her, and he protected her. And because he protected her and hit this guy with a bar stool and then ended up killing him. I mean, the guy was like 4 times his size. You know, he tried fighting him off and started getting his ass whooped. So he got a bar stool and hit the guy with it and killed him. He got manslaughter for defending a woman, for defending her honor. You know, back in the 60s, the man doing the beating on the woman would have went to prison. And if he died right there at the scene, the cops wouldn't have said shit about it. Nothing. Because the man was beating on a woman. But nowadays, if a man beats on a woman and another man intervenes and that other man is seriously injured or dies, the man who intervened is going to prison. You can't even defend your neighbor. You can't even defend a common person on the street anymore without fear of repercussions. That's why you see so many homeless people out on the streets begging for shit and they never receive it. Because people are scared to even help out nowadays because of the way this government has got everything so fucked up. And a lot of it has to do with the judicial system and the cops. And, I mean, even movements like Black Lives Matter, who is always against the white people. Or like the Black Panther Society, who is always against the white fucking people. Or you have the NAACP, who never lets a white person in. You know, and nobody ever identifies with what white people are going through today because of what white people did in the past. It doesn't matter where you come from or what your lineage is, from what country, just that you have white skin, they automatically put you into the category of being a white supremacist, and they identify you with the people and the assholes that did that bullshit back in the day. And if that ain't fucking more racist than the shit that happened back in the past, I don't know what is. I mean, you're holding shit against white people today that had nothing to do with that shit or aren't even from the same lineage as those people. I mean, you gotta think with your head, man. You can't just go around pointing out white people or knocking white people out just because they're fucking white. I mean, you can't go around beating on black people, beating on Mexican people, beating on Indonesian people just because of the skin color or because of their religion. It's bullshit. You're a pussy if you do. And if you don't like that I fucking said it, come to Oklahoma, hit me up on Facebook, and you and I can talk about it on the front yard. We can go to fucking blows. I don't give a shit. Because I'm not scared to defend what I say. And that's just it, man. There's too many people afraid to stand up for what is actually right these days, and they choose to follow the masses. And when the masses are upset, they make irrational decisions, like rioting, like looting, like shooting at cops, like throwing Molotov cocktails at the police. I mean, that's just stupid. And they do that shit because they're pissed off. And the masses follow that. It is proven that society likes confrontation. They love it. I mean, that's why you got the Maury Show. That's why you got Jerry Springer. That's why Ricky Lake was so fucking popular. I mean, that's why you have all these reality TV shows. And if you watch any of them, 99.9% of them are all drama. Every bit of it. Society loves drama. Society loves trouble. And if we change that, we change the world.